Overwatch League Season 2 is on break. And rightfully so. Players, staff, and talent have been grinding for basically 10 weeks straight now, so about a month of vacation is well deserved. But what will we do now to help fill in the void? What will I watch for 6 hours a day, 4 days a week, and pretend it's okay because I have this channel? Luckily, Tier 2 is here to help with the first ever Showdown series, Pacific and Atlantic. For the first time in the history of Overwatch Contenders, the best teams from every Contenders region will meet with a decent amount of money and spots on the Gauntlet on the line. We'll finally be able to see which region reigns supreme over them all, and we'll even pretend to act surprised when it's Korea. Anyways, first up is Pacific, which will go down this weekend. It'll feature the top 2 teams from Korea and China, as well as the winners from Australia and Pacific, in a 6-team double elimination bracket. The problem is, as a typical American, I have almost no idea what's going on in the other regions. I could do research on all the teams, but I've found that first-hand accounts are much better. So, I've gotten a little help.
Hey guys, my name is Jaws and I'm an Overwatch Contenders caster covering both the EU and the Korean regions.
Hello, I'm Volamel and I'm an Overwatch journalist and Chinese Overwatch expert. I followed the region for about 2 years, dating all the way back to the Overwatch Premiere Series. Recently, I worked with Broadcast GG to put on the inaugural English broadcast for Overwatch Contenders China, both Seasons 2 and Season 3, as an analyst. I'm also one of the hosts on China Talk, a small Overwatch podcast focused primarily and specifically on Chinese Overwatch.
Hey, my name's Andrew, probably better known as RQT, and I'm the coach of Order. We recently just won the Australian Contenders Finals, and other than that, I've also been involved with the Australian World Cup team for the last 2 years.
And while he wasn't in a position to record for me, AVRL, who does a great job casting Contenders Pacific and also Australia, was able to script out some great information about the Pacific representative, which I'll be reading off. With that out of the way, let's get into it.
Victory!
Element Mystic are the best team outside of Overwatch League currently. They not only have Doha, who is the best Sombra in the world as it stands, they also have Sparkle, who is an incredibly talented DPS player who can play things like Doomfist and Genji to absolute precision. There is no way Element Mystic aren't going to be able to win Pacific Showdown, definitely not after the performance they put up against O2 Blast in the finals of 2019. Element Mystic didn't have the best 2018. The highest placing was in Season 3. They came second place to Runaway, and Runaway kind of ran all over them. In fact, every analyst did end up predicting Element Mystic to win because they felt Sparkle's Doomfist mixed with the Goats composition that they were running was unstoppable. Turns out, they weren't. I don't see Element Mystic not winning Pacific Showdown. Not only do they have Sparkle, they have Doha, who uses EMP basically as a cooldown. Hubin, Takoyaki, and Alpha, like there's no chance of you getting past those. Habin's also going to eat every single grab on site. There is no way it's not going to be Element Mystic taking the trophy.
Victory!
The first seed from China and Chengdu Hunters Academy team, LGE.Huya, should fare a bit better than China's other sister representative. LGE.Huya finished out their first season in 2019 with a victory, going undefeated with a dominant map record of 28 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses. Their style revolves around their Sombra specialist, Haker, who made his appearance widely known in Overwatch all the way back in Open Division 2018 Season 2, where he and his team, Ambitious Immortals, cruised through the playoffs, only dropping a single map. They then transitioned that success into Overwatch Contenders Trials, where they went undefeated and qualified for a spot in Season 3. However, the team would disband and many of their star players would go their separate ways. Fun fact, Haker and Mija, the Doomfist specialist for T1W Esports, used to play on Ambitious Immortals together. While LGE.Huya are very rigid and only rely on running Sombra 3-3, with their DPS ace Kami and flex support Molly, they're quite capable of running something more standard or even breaking the mold and pulling out some DPS compositions on Control and maybe even Hybrid.
Victory!
O2 Blast, on the other hand, did hand Runaway their first loss in a long time. They 4-0'd them in semi-finals, netting them a finals placing. They did end up coming second to Element Mystic. Pelican, Mandu, and Myungwon were actually picked up halfway through the season in what was a very known about roster move. Now, O2 Blast, they can actually bring out Kaiser as well. They've been flexing a bit of Villeneuve and Kaiser throughout the season. It was Kaiser in for the finals specifically, and his veterancy to the roster is really going to shine on an international stage. I think O2 Blast are going to do very well at Pacific Showdown. Their only kryptonite will be Element Mystic, and if both teams continue to win, they'll have to meet each other again at some point, and that's where those stage nerves might just come into play, and that history they've already had facing up against Element Mystic and losing to them in such a devastating fashion in the Season 1 final.
Victory!
As far as the Australian Overwatch scene is concerned, and I guess by extension both Australian Contenders and the single slot Australia has in the Showdown, there's generally just been two teams competing for first in our region for quite some time now. That's obviously us, but also Sydney Drop Bears, who I'd say are much more known outside of our region. I think, you know, the team that a lot of people might have been expecting to see at the Showdown from Australia. Obviously, fortunately enough, we were able to come first this time, so we were able to dethrone the Australian Kings up till now. Our team's basically been a core in its new iteration for roughly 3 seasons now, which is also when I joined. That first season we came 3rd and 4th, and then last season we placed 2nd, and then this time we came 1st. So we've had a pretty gradual but consistent improvement this whole time. As far as we're considered for Showdown, I think like the team as a whole is pretty hungry to chase for a Gauntlet slot. I think we're also in a pretty advantageous position where I think a lot of teams that are participating are going to be teams that are overlooking us when it comes to preparation. You know, as a region, we are generally disregarded in that sense. So I think that really relieves a lot of pressure and expectations, but also puts us in a pretty good spot to chase for that Gauntlet spot. I guess the last thing for us is we're obviously representing Australia, and no matter what we place, I think we as a team just want to do the region justice.
Victory!
This season, we got our first ever 2-time champion in the Pacific. That's right, in the entire history of the region, no team has ever won twice across either the 2017 Pacific Championship or the 2018 to 2019 Contender seasons. Talon Esports are the first team in 2 years to do so, winning 2018 Season 2 and 2019 Season 1. They're one of the only mixed rosters in the region, featuring players from Korea with Gogora, Bling, and Muse, Taiwan with CQB and Inin77, and Thailand with Oputo. However, only one player from the 2018 championship actually remained on the team. This would be Gogora, their flex tank, so this is a relatively new, rebuilt roster made from different pieces of Pacific veteran teams and some rookies. They also have one of the most versatile playstyles, ranging from standard through 3 goats to DPS compositions with Sombra, Mei, and others. They come in as relative underdogs compared to some other teams in the Pacific Showdown, but are a potential strong dark horse team. Other teams should not be underestimating Talon.
Victory!
The second seed from China, T1W Esports, are a fickle bunch. The team's 3rd, 4th placing in Contender Season 2 does a slight disservice to how good they were at the time, as they were the only team to truly rival the most dominant team at the time, Lucky Future Zenith, which was a full Korean roster. In Season 3, they ascended the ladder and climbed to the throne, ending with an incredible undefeated match record, as well as a map record of 30-1. You heard that right. Throughout Season 3, including the playoffs, T1W lost a single map to Flag Gaming in the Grand Final. Pretty dominant, right? The streak continued in the first season of 2019, leaving Group A undefeated as the first seed. However, T1W showed surprising weakness as they limped through the playoffs, barely defeating the 4th seed from Group B in Lucky Future and narrowly escaping LGD Gaming, who were the 3rd seed from T1W's own group. What's more shocking is that all of these games went to a Game 5. With that in mind, it's hard to expect much from T1W going into the Pacific Showdown. Their saving grace is going to come from their stubborn nature to be very anti-meta, meaning if they come into this event prepared, we could see some very Chengdu Hunters-esque compositions. If they can play into Molan Ran's Hero Pool and Mija's Doomfist, they've got a puncher's chance at not costing China a spot at the Gauntlet, but a deep run from T1W should not be expected.
I want to take a moment to thank everyone who helped me out with this video, not just with their voices, but also with their knowledge of the regions. I wanted to give everyone a chance to plug whatever they wanted, and I really hope you all follow them on whatever they end up saying. But before that, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I make competitive Overwatch content at least once a week. It would make me so happy if you'd watch it. Anyways, take it away.
Thank you very much for watching, guys. My name has been Jaws, and you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at JawsCasts.
I just want to thank you for having me on and letting me ramble on about China for a little bit. If you want to learn more about China or just want to follow my thoughts, you can find me on Twitter and YouTube at Volamel. And if you're in the mix for some Overwatch podcast, I know you guys got to go to work sometimes. So if you are, go ahead and check out Tactical Crouch and China Talk. Both are on YouTube and most places where you can find all things podcasts. Thanks so much for having me on again, and I hope to talk to you guys soon.
I'm kind of expecting the Showdown to be a lot of people's first kind of real experience with the Australian Overwatch scene, other than the World Cup, and I guess that also extends to people that are listening to this. You know, generally we are a region overlooked in terms of, like, you know, the global competitive Overwatch ecosystem. Having said that, if you are on Twitter and you want to kind of support some of the Australian stuff, you can follow our team on Twitter at order_army. Dropbears as well, the other consistent team in Australia. You can follow them at dropbearsgg. And then the last thing is there's going to be a lot of news and information and updates and roster things and all sorts of news happening with regards to the Australian World Cup. So you can also follow the official Australian World Cup Twitter, which is AUSOWWC.
And AVRL wanted me to shout out his Twitter. You can find him at I'm AVRL, spelled AVRL. And of course, make sure to watch the Pacific Showdown on the Overwatch Contenders Twitch channel. Until next time though, that's all from me. Don't get tilted.